I'm going to tie a fly right now, go through it step by step. I suggest on your first fly, if you're new, watch the screen. Let's go through a tie. I'll go through step by step, and then we'll go through another one with you joining in. So I think you'll find watching the steps as on a go-through before actually jumping into it will be helpful. All right. Today we're using a size 12 hook. Like Gary did last week, I debarb all of my hooks for a couple of reasons that he went through. They come out of your clothes a lot easier, they come out of your skin a lot easier, but there are some areas that I fish that require barbless hooks. This way, if I debarb everything, then I don't have to worry about picking the right, picking a fly that's debarbed to go when I go in the barbless special regulation fishing area on the White River. So, but a lot of reasons for debarbing, but those are my reasons. Mainly because I fish
You notice the difference in catch rates?
No, and there's a very experienced fly fishing commercial fly tyer in Fayetteville that will tell you that he catches more fish barbless than he does barbed. I don't know, but I've found no difference. Okay, hook in the vise. As always, when you put the hook in the vise, shank should be parallel to the tying surface. If there's a slant to it, one way or the other, then your thread is going to tend to work its way down and maybe off the eye or work its way back. So shank parallel to the tying surface, to your desk. First step, we're going to apply wire, lead wire, and then you want to wrap. As you wrap wire, make the coils tight against each other as best you can. But you see, when I've got this much out here to hang on to, it's not going to slip out of my hands and all. But so don't try to conserve lead wire.
Gary is cheap.
Okay. I didn't count the wraps, but you can see about how much hook shank surface I have covered. Then we can, lead wire, it pulls apart very easily, so you can just break it with your fingernails or cut it off. As Gary said last week, if you're cutting wire, lead, whatever, anything that's not thread or fly tying material, cut on the back end of your scissor. You don't want to dull the point. But again, this breaks very easily. I broke it with my fingers. Next step, whenever you do lead, thumb and forefinger on each end and twist it down so it's tight. And as you're twisting, push the coils together some more. So you've got a nice tight coil of lead. Now we're going to apply some thread. Another hint, I'll just refresh from last week. You don't want a whole lot of thread exposed between the tip of your bobbin and where you're working, an inch or less. That gives you much better control. So I've started at the front of the lead. I've built what's called a dam. I've just kind of secured, made enough wraps at the front of the lead to secure it, and it's not going to slide forward. Then bring your thread back to the back of the lead and build a dam back there. It's just successive wraps of thread all in the same spot. Then at some point in time, You can clip, this loose end is called the tag end. You can clip that off and clip it as close to the hook as you can without cutting your bobbin thread. All right. Next step, we're going to apply Peacock Herl. The book says 3 strands, but this is fairly thin, so use 4 or even 5 wouldn't hurt to get a good body. On one end of the Peacock Herl, this comes off the tail feathers on peacocks, by the way, just the individual barbules off of the tail. And on the end of it, you may have some white area. That's all waste. So clip that off so that you've got nice square ends of all colored herl. Next step, at the back of the lead where you finished, lay those herls on the side of the hook shank toward you and pinch them down, a couple of loose wraps. And the reason you put it on the shank toward you is as you wrap that thread, they're going to tend to roll up on top of the hook, and that's fine. That's where you want them. Otherwise, they're going to roll on the other side, and you really can't see what's going on. So once you've got those, do 4 or 5 good tight wraps right there at the end of the lead. And then clip off those 4 loose ends. Careful not to cut your thread. Okay, the next step we're going to do is a technique. I don't know if you noticed it, and I meant to show you. This Peacock Herl is very fragile. It pulls apart with almost no effort. If you look at it real hard, it'll fall apart. So we need to strengthen that. The way you do that is using a technique called roping. And what I'm going to do is take the Peacock Herl and my bobbin thread, I'm just going to wrap those around each other, forming a rope, and make good tight. The more wraps you make, the stronger it is, because the ratio of thread to herl will be better. Once you've got some of that roped and all together, next step, we're just going to start making the body. Nice tight wraps with the thread and Peacock Herl moving up toward the front, and try to cover all of the lead wire. Don't want any of that lead wire showing through if you can help it. So you do that by just making tight threads. If you run out of roped material, just rope some more. Okay, and I've even some of my herl broke rope, but I'll trim those off. So I've made the body. And notice I've left about a hook eye width behind the hook eye. So that way I'm not crowding the eye, and also left myself some space to make a little head. Once you've done that, we'll clip off the loose ends of herl and start making many wraps right there behind the eye to not only fully secure that peacock herl, but to make a little head. Then with your half hitch tool, this one, like we did last week, just tie 4 or 5 good half hitch knots. Pull them tight as you're tying them, and clip off your bobbin thread. There's a peacock herl nymph.